Hello there, gamer! I bet you've thought, dang, Mario is an easy game, and boy, you would be right. But what if I told you there was a step you could do to return the monkey and make Mario Odyssey harder at the same time? Interested now, And thus this brings us to the age-old question, can you beat an entire Mario game with just your feet? Well, let's see, feet, check. Super Mario Odyssey, check. Nintendo Switch, check. I think we have what we need to take on this challenge. Let's hop in, boys. Alright, now the game opens up with the opening cutscene. But why do we care? This cutscene's about hats and not feet, so let's skip that. It's Bonneton, the Cap Kingdom. Mario awakens on his foot-traveled road, and he learns the hard way that we don't have any way to do most of his moves. We can't really long jump, we can't really roll, so it seems for the most part we're gonna be walking. How appropriate, boys. Well, aside from some troubles, not much really happened in Bonneton. You know, Bonneton's a pretty empty kingdom. We do ultimately end up giving a frog PTSD and destroying a leprechaun, but hey, that's all the life's work. I guess that's all there really was in Bonneton. I suppose our journey has us headed elsewhere. The second spot on our foot-traveled road is dropping to the Cascade Kingdom. Much like Bonneton, this kingdom is pretty small, only littered around with dinosaur bones and some chain chomps. Oh, and also our first power moon. We're apparently going to be collecting these things from now on, so I guess we gotta start looking out for them. But otherwise, our feet seem to be able to get a grasp on this land, and we made our way and smashed that big Brutal all the way at the top. And with the big Bun gone, we can power up our airship and make our way out of here. But of course, we are missing one moon. Now this is no problem. It's much easier to get a moon of my choice rather than being forced down into a story path. But hey, we'll take what we can get, muchachos. But finally, with that last moon under our belt, we do get to make our way down to the next place in town. Ah yes, the Sand Kingdom, filled with pyramids and sand and cactus, just like every other desert level in Mario. It is a bit chillier than your usual desert kingdom, but alas, a good old walk on the 2 feet won't do any harm. And oh no, this is actually the first kingdom to pose a threat. Like I said in the very beginning, it's really hard to put 2 inputs at the same time, and that seems to be something that platforming likes to encourage. Well, that tower was incredibly hard, but ultimately, our struggles did prevail, and we made it to the very top. And alas, we can continue our journey off to the inverted pyramid off in the distance. Unfortunately though, after all the hardship, you know what the game gives us? Platforming! And a platformer game, I can't believe that! Well, either way, at the top, we land the prize, and it's actually a bunny girl. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? With my infinite mercy, I grant her the sweet release of death. And we can move on out of this kingdom. Or so we thought. Apparently we need to go solve that cold thing. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. So it looks like we have to make our way back around town, and we have to return to the inverted pyramid to see what lies underneath. And underneath lies the land of doom! I mean, Goombas. At the end of the area, we end up fighting that one boss from Kirby Superstar. But hey, he's got the wrong guy. He thinks we stole the ring. I don't even use hands. Why would I use a ring? Come on, think! Using the power of feet, we teach him something about making assumptions on people, and we send him back to where he came from. After that, we went and explored around, and found the last few moons. We also found the harsh reality that you cannot go fishing without hands. Come on, Nintendo. Come on! And now at this point, the game's road forks, and we have the Wooded Kingdom and the Lake Kingdom. We're gonna lump these two together, mostly because the platforming in both these areas are rather simple. We didn't spend too much time here, so we won't spend too much time now. We just went around these 2 kingdoms, we beat the big baddies, and we grabbed some moons. What else can I say? My feet have become well-traveled on this world. Now, when we finally think we're gonna make our way to New Donk City, we actually meet Bowser and gang up in the sky up at the Cloud Kingdom. Not the warmest welcome ever, but it'll do. We end up just dueling Bowser to an epic fight of the fates. And ultimately, like always, he ends up getting a taste of defeat. Get it? Defeat? Cause we're playing with our feet? Yeah, I'm hilarious, aren't I? I guess our punishment, I still got it, is that we're sent to the Lost Kingdom. And I gotta be honest, with the fact that Cappy was stolen, and the fact that there's platforming, and that we have to do ground pounds, this was a very, very punishing kingdom for Bowser to send us to. For the most part, all the kingdoms we visited earlier only had one part that was hard or virtually nothing that was an obstacle. However, this kingdom posed several threats, and it sets the standard for what's going to come in the future. Bada boom, bada bang, we have arrived here in Donk City. Hey look, the city's full of Bowser propaganda. Ain't that neat? Well, it looks like I need to go talk to the manager of Donk City. Come on, subliminal advertising? Bowser, I expect better from you. After slaying all the employees, I finally made it to the manager's residence in Donk City. And of course, they protected themselves with the art of my enemy, platforming. By this time in the game, we've learned that bosses aren't really a keen issue. The hardest thing we have to deal with is platforming, and this is a very valid example of that. So many moving pieces and enemies all at the same time. It is a nightmare. But you know what? After a small struggle, our feet finally trampled over the obstacle, and we made it to the top. Hold on, I think this boss is a bug. That means it's bug factor time. With the boss gone, we can now return to the more simple things in life, like jump rope and illegal street racing. After getting a good taste full of Donk City, apparently the mayor still wants us to do some work. This consists of getting some music boys and another platforming section. No! But eventually, this was a really long eventually though, we get a festival. Well, I guess this concludes our trip in Donk City. I'm a man on the road and my feet must keep on going. So let's continue on to our adventure ahead. Ah yes, the Seaside Kingdom. The relaxing kingdom of vacation resorts and giant octopus. Overall, this wasn't that bad of a kingdom. Most of the swimming controls work pretty well on your feet, and there wasn't really any real platforming in this area. I suppose there's nothing else really to do than to show Big Octo what's up. Well, what was supposed to be a battle became an education system. Oh yeah, it's big brain time. Well, now that we gave that man a good old education, it's time to move on to the next place on our map. Yet another cold welcome. We pop into the land of Canada, Shiveria. A barren, icy wasteland that offers no hope and only platforming. This place was extremely hard compared to the Seaside Kingdom, but hey, at least we ended off with a bit of whatever you call this. Okay, this was extremely hard. This is way worse than any boss that could throw at us. Oh my goodness, this is a beast. But you know, the clock's a ticking. We should get moving on to the next area. And now we've arrived here in Supel. I say this not as a joke, but as this place had the worst platforming in the entire game. I am serious. You would think some of the later kingdoms would be worse, but this place absolutely creamed my cheese. Like, we could go on and mention that we possessed some meat, and then we attacked a giant bird, but no, that's not what we're talking about. Our Ronies were peppered by this mountain, this one right here. I will say single-handedly, this was the hardest part of the challenge. This was such an advanced connection of all the platforming techniques, and it was incredibly hard to do. But after all that, we made it to the top, and we finally chopped some chicken. I am so glad that is finally done with though, and we can get out of this land and go on to the next place. And this next location is the Ruined Kingdom, a place that looks like it was ripped straight out of the High Wall of Lothric. Complete with majestic architecture and a huge dragon to boot. This is where our third meetup with Bowser takes place. An ultimate duel to the death versus this dragon as well as our controls. We barely manage, and our console barely manages as well. But like always, our feet step over the obstacle, and we can move on to the next kingdom. Yes, Senpai Bowser-chan Kingdom. Bowser's finally ditching the old European-style castle to embrace his inner weeaboo. Bowser Kingdom is filled with platforming, but most of it's gimmick-based because it's designed around the capture abilities. Now every now and then there are a few obstacles that still pose a threat, but on the bright side we're pretty well equipped after everything we've gone through so far. Making it to the top is no small feat for my feet. But at the summit of Bowser's Great Kingdom we are greeted by the man himself. What's up, Bowser Senpai? Unfortunately, Bowser's a player and not a gamer, so he's gotta get out of here to get over to his wedding, leaving us to deal with one of the worst bosses in the game, the brutal Gundam battle. This battle was a horrible mashup of strength and platforming at the same time, something my feet barely could handle. After a huge struggle and a visit to Pound Town, we finally sent them back to where they came from, and we can make our move on to the moon! The moon! Once we arrive at that big rock positioned in the sky, we can see a giant chapel in the background, and we can hear the bells of Bowser ringing. Well, there's no time to wait. We're at our final destination, and all that remains between me and Bowser is some big hole. The real meat of the kingdom lies underneath, and the underground cave system that seems more like what we would expect from a Bowser castle. After overcoming all the platforming-based capture challenges, we return with the battle against the big Bun Bun from the very beginning of the game. She teaches us a thing or two, and her Chain Chomp's got Mega Drip, carrying like 7 hats at once. But we've came too far to quit, and finally, we outdrip the Chain Chomp, and we get out of this place. And it's here, we make no waste of time on the way to Bowser in order to destroy his perfect wedding. And what really is the final battle, we actually easily overcome. We are more than prepared for this battle, and we more than succeed. Bowser actually goes down after only one try, and we finally beat the game! Or so we would think. You know, I mean, it's probably obvious now, but there's a platforming section, you know? Oh, we could never escape them, can we? After a few tries at this, we finally do achieve the goal, and we have beaten the game. Super Mario Odyssey entirely without hands, only feet. What a legend! I'm not the first person to complete this challenge, and I doubt I'll be the last, but I am glad to have my place on the wall of feet. Overall, I can't say this challenge was extremely hard, but I think it was super fun. It definitely gets way harder on the very later parts of the game, where you definitely need more movement options, but hey, that's half the fun. I would definitely recommend this challenge to anybody who has a pair of feet and would love to experience Mario Odyssey in a different light. Trust me, you won't regret it, this is a great challenge. Well, that ends this journey, but eventually another journey will open up. I hope I can see you guys staying around, muchachos, until we meet again. HackedCrusade signing out. Stay classy.